Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk. As always, I am your host, David Farkas. I am joined by Josh Lehrer.
Hey, everybody.
And producing the show, we've got Jose Rivera.
Hello, hello.
And we have an exciting
When do we not?
Sometimes we don't.
Go watch those episodes.
Don't what? Yeah. We hide those. We have a fact and fun-filled episode today on a recently launched camera that I think a lot of you are both excited and maybe a little confused about. So we're going to try to shed some light on that. And what is that camera?
We are here this evening to talk to you about the Leica M EV1. This is, I would say, in my opinion, one of the most significant M system camera launches in a very long time. It is a fundamentally different kind of M camera for Leica.
Yes, it is.
And the cool thing about the timing of the show is the camera's been out for a bit, so there's going to be people watching that have one, which is awesome. We definitely encourage feedback from individuals who either tested one or who own one. We want to hear from you because a lot of times, it's not out there yet, and we have to kind of just do it all ourselves. But now
sometimes we get it like right on the day, and
yeah, exactly.
Which can be exciting for sure.
Yes,
it's a mad dash for us. This one, it's a little more mature. We even have a firmware update already available, which you should go to Red Dot Forum.
That's right.
To make sure that your firmware is up to date, since we do have an article on that. But yeah.
So we should say, just to clarify, so the name is Leica space, the letter M, space EV1, no spaces. So M EV1.
Like the video title.
Yes, like the video title. Now, we may call it the EV1, we may call it the M EV1, we may call it the MEV1, I don't know.
It's not called the MEV, don't even start that.
But I think EV1 is like the easiest shorthand, like
EV1,
like 240 or M10.
Yeah.
So you'll probably hear us call it either MEV1 or EV1. So just so we have the nomenclature squared away. Well, David, why don't you tell us or answer the Leica M EV1?
So the Leica M EV1 right here
there it
is Leica's first M mount camera, an M body with no optical rangefinder and a built-in electronic viewfinder right here. It's and we're gonna have to get into this, right?
But before we do, we may be having some audio issues. They're saying my mic is a little bit loud, your mic is a little bit hollow. What's going on over there?
I don't know.
Better to sort this out now. Are we doing okay?
I hear it fine.
Better?
Yeah.
Better. Okay, great.
Whatever. Sorry.
Much better.
Appreciate that. Always better to knock these things out early. Anyway, I apologize for interrupting.
Apparently. Okay.
Yes. Now you can go.
Okay. So I think we need to talk kind of about the controversy that this is.
Ooh, controversy.
It's
Spill the tea.
creating a little bit of controversy
Yes.
On a few levels, right? Because, and let's just get this out of the way first, right? What does M stand for? And I'm going to let you pronounce it.
Oh, I'm not going to even try. It's a German word, but I think we'll probably get into the ethos a little bit later. But this is an M camera. It's important to understand.
Kind of.
But I want you to, before we get into that part,
camera, right.
I want you to explain
What
fundamentally first.
Okay.
First, let's get into what it is.
Sure.
And
Basic
then we'll
specs.
get into the bit of the backstory.
Sure. Let's do the basic specs first, and then we can be controversial.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Basically annoy everybody. Okay.
Yes.
So
warm them up a little bit.
What we are looking at is basically the same, fundamentally the same innards as an M11. So we have the same, with a caveat, we have the same 60 megapixel backside illuminated CMOS sensor, the BSI sensor, with phenomenal, 15.5 stops dynamic range, amazing color and resolution. So no complaints there. So that's going to be equal to M11, M11P, M11D, the whole M11 family. We also have 64 gigabytes of internal memory, just like the M11 and the M11 Glossy Black, not the 256 that we find in the M11P and the monochrome, because this is based on an M11, not an M11P. That's worthwhile to note. That also means that we don't have a sapphire glass screen, right? So it's a Gorilla Glass screen, which is relatively scratch resistant, but we do recommend a screen protector.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Which we'll get to. And notably, the difference is of something that does take from the M11P that's not in an M11 is the hardware encryption chip. So it does have Leica's content authentication, or basically for the authenticity encryption, where it's part of the Adobe standard, the CII. And we're seeing that roll out basically on every new camera. So it wasn't, just to tangent slightly, we didn't see it on the SL3, but it is on the SL3S. It wasn't on the M11, but it is on the M11P. It's on the M11D. It's on the M11 monochrome. It's on this one. So the content authentication is basically Leica has committed to putting that into every camera going forward. And I think we even saw that on the Q3 monochrome just recently. So basically every iteration of camera coming out since the M11P will have the content authentication built in.
Yes.
Okay, so that is what is the same. Now, what is different, Josh?
Well, the difference is kind of obvious if you look at the camera from the front. You will see there is no optical viewfinder. That's right, I also have one here. We can do an overhead shot. Here is an M EV1. Take the lens off. There is something missing. Where's the rangefinder window? Where's all the stuff? It's just solid. So instead, we have an EVF. So the M EV1 is a Leica M11 without an optical rangefinder, and in its place is an electronic viewfinder. That is really what makes the EV1 the EV1. The menu system, the functionality of the buttons, except for something we'll get to in a second, all the accessories, they're all the same, basically, from the M11. So this is not reinventing the wheel from scratch. This is changing one key aspect of how the camera operates, which is the way you frame, compose, and focus. You go from a rangefinder to an EVF. David, you want to give us some of the specs of the EVF, if you remember them?
Yeah, it's I do. It's 5.76 megapixel OLED EVF with a half-inch panel, which is, shockingly, pretty much the same spec that we find in the Q3 and Q343, and Q3 monochrome. So the entire Q3 generation also uses a half-inch panel with 5.76 megapixel OLED EVF with 120 frame refresh. So are they the same? Maybe.
I mean, there's probably a lot of shared components, but it is a different
the specs are similar. And actually, if you get an overhead view here, Jose, you can see that the...
Other way. Oh, no, you got it. Sorry.
Yep.
There you go.
You can see they're very similar in terms of the EVF on the top left of each camera. And what's cool is something that has held over from the Q that I really liked is the built-in diopter adjustment. So you pop that out and you can see it kind of protrudes here, and then you can dial it in and lock it. And that is actually something that's new to the M line completely, because in the past you'd have to use screw-on diopters on the optical rangefinder here with this.
This is the first M camera with a built-in diopter correction, which is
very convenient.
Something you didn't really know you needed until you have it, and it's like, wow, that's so nice. You'll also notice, if we come back to my overhead here, compared to, let's say, an M11P, there is no ISO dial on the top plate. That is gone. So that had to make room for the EVF. So instead, we have ISO setting through the menu, basically the same way you can do it on the M11 as well. At first, I thought I might miss the ISO dial. Then I remembered I pretty much have it on A or on M all the time anyway. So I just set it with the thumb wheel, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But otherwise, it looks and works like an M11 from the menu standpoint, from a handling standpoint, except it has an electronic viewfinder instead of an optical viewfinder.
And of course, it has an M mount.
Well, right. And so now I think we should talk a little bit about history and what it means to be an M camera.
What does it mean to be an M camera?
Because early on, during the launch sort of week or two of the EV1, which was late October, we got a fair number of comments and questions and concerns. Like, well, why are they calling this an M? Because an M camera is a rangefinder. So how dare Leica sully their pristine legacy by calling a camera that doesn't have a rangefinder an M camera. How
Right.
dare they?
Because as we sort of hinted at, right? So M stands for Messzucker, which is German for rangefinder, apparently, if you pronounce it correctly.
That's why I didn't even try.
You don't pronounce it right.
But the thing is,
But
yes, yes,
it's not without historical precedent, right? And I think M has also grown to embody, an unmistakable silhouette of an M camera.
Yeah.
These M camera bodies, just like the M EV1, has that same body shape. It has the same operational concept. And I think, more than anything, it has an M mount, which probably is now the most defining
sure.
feature besides the body
Yeah.
to be an actual M, is that it has a native M mount. And it even has a little focus roller cam here, which we'll get into why.
We will.
Why that makes sense, which is pretty cool.
But we have to get into this philosophical question of what is an M camera?
What is an M camera?
Because on the surface, without context,
Yes.
one could say, well, why is the M EV1 a rangefinder? Or see, why is it called an M when it doesn't have a rangefinder, which is what an M is supposed to be?
Yes.
Like I said, how dare they? The
dare
reality is that there's more to it than that. M might mean rangefinder in the literal sense,
Yep.
but it doesn't mean that every M has to have a rangefinder. That started not in October of 2025, but in 1959 with this one. This is the Leica M1. Not the Leica 1, not the Leica something else. It is the Leica M1. It says it. We'll do overhead here. You can get up.
Oh, I see it. It says
Says it
M1.
right there.
Yep.
However, the Leica M1, despite the fact that it looks like a Leica M2, does not have a rangefinder. It has a viewfinder, which is kind of an interesting thing because it has frame lines for 35 and 50 millimeter lenses with no rangefinder mechanism, but it has no ability to preview the focus of an M lens. It's an M mount. It's shaped like an M camera because it is an M camera, but it simply does not have a rangefinder. This camera was intended for more specialty use, like copy stands, reproduction work, microscopes, other scientific instruments, situations where there was some kind of auxiliary way to compose and focus. So if somebody says to me, well, how dare Leica call the M EV1 an M camera because it has no rangefinder, I would say, well, Leica's been doing this since 1959. And now the quirkiness of the M1 having an optical viewfinder that is borderline not usable went away because Leica realized that this camera was useful for people who needed this particular type of model, but having the optical viewfinder just added unnecessary expense and complication to the camera. So the next 3 iterations of this, of which I have one, we have the Leica MD series, started with the MD, the MDA, and the MD2. Now, this might look very familiar because if you look at an M EV1, right here, it's very similar. There is no viewfinder at all. There's nothing. There's literally just a solid chunk of metal on the top plate. And yet, it's not called the D or the L or the Z. It is an M camera. From 1966 is the MDA, and they made the various iterations all the way until 1986. So from 1959 to 1986, Leica camera manufactured cameras called M's in the M line with an M mount that did not have an optical rangefinder. So that trend may have taken a bit of a break in 1986 until 2025, but it fits perfectly with Leica's legacy of deciding and determining what it means to be an M camera. Cool little quick fact about this one. This is also the first iteration of metadata. So if you see this base plate, it looks a bit unusual because it has this little thingy here that's sticking out. And what this is designed for are these little strips of, almost like strips of film or transparency that had a 4mm tab at the end, and you stuck it in here, and the tab would protrude through the base plate. In fact, it'd go over the bottom edge of the film, so you could write or print out little notes on that tab, and then when you expose the negative, it would be printed on the negative. So it's like a very early adoption of metadata. Actually, you can see here, there's where the little strip actually goes. So kind of a cool side note. And you can obviously put a standard base plate on here. And the customer, shout out to Christian for letting us borrow this. We appreciate it. Who uses this camera, actually shoots with it with a 28 using a 28mm optical viewfinder. Here we go, a vintage one, which looks awesome on here. And then he just hyper focuses or scale focuses or stops way down. And obviously with a 28, that's pretty easy. So clearly there are fun ways to use these cameras even in the modern era because it's just an M camera, just doesn't happen to have a rangefinder. So come back to us, Jose, if you want. My point being is that if you come to me and you say, well, how dare Leica call the M EV1 an M camera, it has no rangefinder, I would say, well, open your Leica collector's book, your history books, and learn a little bit about what Leica has defined an M camera to be since the late 1950s when we saw the M1.
Right. So
Fun stuff.
I feel like maybe they're a victim of their own mythology with saying, well, M stands for
Right.
rangefinder,
Yeah,
when clearly they've made numerous exceptions over the years.
Oh, for sure. Here's just, we'll do one more close up.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
The Leica M EV1 compared to the Leica MDA. It is cool to see them like
Yeah.
kind of together like that.
Can you just spray paint the MDA?
I mean, the MD2 came in black. The MDA came
Yeah.
mostly in silver. I just happen to have this one with me.
That is very cool looking.
It is. This is a cool moment to really
Yes.
see where this started and then where we are now, because even though obviously they're functionally extremely different, spiritually they're very similar.
Yeah, and I think actually, if you could do an overhead shot with the M1 and the EV1, what's really fascinating here that I'm seeing is I'm gonna
Back to the overhead
back to overhead
with with David.
Yeah, okay.
Jose, do we
That's-
have that?
nope.
Nope.
That's my hand.
There, we
Hey!
go. A lot of buttons. There we go. Okay,
All
we
right,
got it. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna point here.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is, and maybe actually before I do that, do you have a film? You don't have a film camera, do you?
Not handy.
No, but just take this one. Here.
Okay.
Just take this one. All right. Swap that out for the EV1 just for a second. Yep. Okay. So what's really fascinating here is you'll notice that the optical finder's in the same spot, and that's why I kind of wanted like an M6 would be perfect here.
Okay.
So you see the viewfinder here that passes through, and you see the viewfinder there. On a film Leica, even today, you would see a frame line illumination window. You know, this is basically to light up the frame line sets. But you'll notice here on a real rangefinder, right? This is the rangefinder window. So this is what projects that tiny little focusing patch in the center of your main viewfinder window. And you'll notice that they kept the styling the same, and they actually
They just filled it in.
They filled it in and just used that as a convenient place to put M1 right over where that window would be. I guess so they didn't have to machine a new top plate.
Yes, exactly. Correct.
But now swap this out for the other way. Keep the M camera there. Swap that one out. And then what's fascinating here is, there we go. You'll notice that, well, we don't have the viewfinder, right? But look at the similarity historically of having the rangefinder window. And you say, oh, well, why is there a rangefinder window on the MEV1?
The secret rangefinder.
Because it's not a rangefinder window. This is actually the self-timer LED window. But clearly, Leica took a very subtle page from history and used that to keep the design language the same, even though the function is completely different.
And it's not the same component because obviously
It's
this
not.
is smaller, so it's not like they just cheaped out. Like,
No.
it's a
So
different-
that is kind
different
of
part,
cool as a little nod.
Yeah.
And just to point this out, you'll notice that we have this smaller round window here and another one there. That is actually the same. That's a secondary light meter used to compare and estimate aperture. Basically, that's on most every digital.
Let me clean the window on this one. There we go.
There you go. You can come back to
Okay, come
both
back
of
to
us.
us.
Yeah, so that little round dot, a lot of people wonder what that is. Basically, because there's no electronic linkage or any linkage between the aperture ring of an M lens and an M body, it uses that as a secondary light meter to basically guesstimate your used aperture for the metadata.
There we go.
But
Very cool. I am so
Kinda
glad we
cool.
got to talk about that because to me, it's really important, as you know, if you've seen the show, to kind of think back, trace back the roots of where these names come from, where these design choices come from, because it doesn't just come out of thin air. I mean, sometimes it does, but in this case, there's a long history of rangefinderless M cameras. In fact, there's been 4 of them over the last, 60 something years.
So yes, bottom lining it, I know we're trying to be like, I don't know, humorous and flippant about it, but yes, it's an M camera, like
Yeah.
bottom line. And I can say after using it, it still has a very M-like feel to it. And I think that's where we kind of take our conversation to, which is, we talk about the technical similarities and differences and kind of the historical aspect, but in terms of usability, where does the M EV1 fall?
Sure. Well, I think before we get to that, it's important to understand something that Leica is not discontinuing the other rangefinders, the other M cameras,
Correct.
right? When this camera came out, there was this needless fear, like, oh my goodness, all the rangefinders are going away.
They're abandoning it.
Leica makes 3 different film cameras right now, and so many variations of the M11, the M11P, the M11 monochrome, the M11D, the glossy M11, Safari M11P. Like, they are committed to the rangefinder. They're simply adding to the portfolio like they did with the CL, the SL, the Q, the S, the compact cameras. This just because Leica's diversifying their product line doesn't mean that they're abandoning.
No, and let's be, I think, even more straightforward in this, which is Leica almost, to their credit and sometimes to their fault, but I would say 90% of the time to their credit. This is actually one of the things that I love about Leica, about the approach they take to products, is they listen very attentively to their customers. And this is an exact example of that happening. So many people over the years, so many people have said, well, I would love to have an M with a built-in electronic viewfinder. Mm-hmm. And Leica's like, yeah, but are you sure? Because rangefinder and the whole decisive moment, and it's like, I can't see with a rangefinder, I have trouble focusing, or I want to use wider lenses, I want to use longer lenses. And for the longest time, Leica said, well, cool, you could just use a electronic viewfinder, just put it on the top, and you can flip it into live view, and you can use rangefinder, or you can use live view. And then it said, no, but I don't want to carry something else. I want it built into the viewfinder, and I want it higher quality. And Leica's like, okay, here you go.
Well, and I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I'm loving all the controversy and like all the back and forth, because that means that it's interesting.
It is
right? Any
interesting.
company can come out with the same thing all the time, make incremental changes, and everyone's like, cool. But to actually come out with something that's dramatically different, that gets people lit up, even if they're upset about it, I think is awesome, because, it's part of the fun.
Right.
Because remember, photography is supposed to be fun.
What?
I know. Shocking revelation.
Shock.
But David, can you talk to us a little bit about, if you want to, the difference in the specs of the VisaFlex 2, which you just brought up, which is the EVF that you can add on to the M11 series cameras, and also the M10 series cameras if your firmware is up to date. A bit about the difference between the tech specs of the VisaFlex 2 and the EVF that's built into the M EV1.
Sure.
Give me overhead.
Okay, so this is the VisaFlex 2. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to throw it on an M11 here.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the profile we get. So we have an optical finder, and we have our VisaFlex. One of the things I do like about the VisaFlex, and I am a big fan of the VisaFlex on the M11, is that it does flip up. So you can angle it, which is very cool in any of these positions, which I really like because it allows me to shoot lower rather than all the way up to my eye, and it kind of saves my knees and saves me from bending over a lot. It does have a built-in diopter adjustment on this side right here, but it doesn't lock, so it is somewhat prone to possibly getting moved by accident. I do know some people have had that in the past. There is, I guess that's just the nature of the design. It is metal, it is nice, but spec for spec, when we're comparing it to the M EV1, this is a 3.68 megapixel OLED viewfinder housed in this. And again, in here we have a 5.76 megapixel OLED EVF. Now my math tells me that's more.
Two more.
It's like 2 more. So I don't know. What is that, like 70% more pixels or something like that? So there is some math there. We actually didn't do that math, but it's a fair amount more, and it's noticeable.
Yes.
And it's not just the resolution, but also the relative size of that image. It is better in the M EV F1 viewfinder. I say this, if you are familiar with the viewfinder in the Q3, the Q343, it is a very similar experience.
Yeah.
Which is to say, a great one, because that's one of the best EVFs that Leica makes.
So let's, my next sort of like topic of discussion for us on this is one right now can choose
Yes.
an M11P
Yes.
with a VisaFlex 2 or an M EV1. And something I don't think we mentioned, or we glossed over.
Well, I'm saving that. No. Yeah.
The weight,
yeah, of course.
We're talking about it now.
We are going to, yes.
Is the weight difference.
Yes.
So the EV1 is black, painted black, like the M11, and M11P and M11 monochrome. It's aluminum, 48 grams lighter than an equivalent M11 in black.
Correct.
However, when you add the VisaFlex 2, which weighs 83 grams on its own, now it's 130 something grams lighter because, of course, it already has a VisaFlex built into it.
Exactly.
So even without the VisaFlex, M11 versus MEV1, there is a noticeable, I'm not going to say it's going to change your life, but it's a noticeable weight difference of 50 grams. And then, of course, when you have an M11 with the VisaFlex attached, then you can really feel the difference in weight.
Yeah.
So that, to me...
I mean, I can tell immediately. And the first time I held the camera, it was immediately apparent. Especially with a smaller lens like the 35 Apo, 50 Apo, any of the smaller M lenses that are not, Noctiluxes, you will notice the weight difference immediately. And what I really like about that weight difference and that light feeling, it's similar to what I get with the Q, which is it feels very light. It feels easy to hold and carry around, but it doesn't feel flimsy at all. It still has that really solid, tanky build, that density that you come to love in an M camera. But carrying it around all day, it feels a lot lighter. When you're carrying this on your shoulder, it doesn't drag you down. And I think that gives it maybe more so than, let's say, carrying a full fat, M11P with a VisaFlex on it and a hand grip. It definitely, you can feel that weight difference right away. Yeah. And in some way, I know it's only 135 grams, like you said.
Right.
I don't think that should be the difference of I'm going to take a camera with me or I'm not going to take a camera with me.
Right.
But that being said, you still want to pick this up and take it out and use it because it has that kind of ease of use, again, that we've come to expect with the Q.
Yeah, and I have to give a shout out. We had a customer in the shop today, Saturday, John from California. Shout out to you. I think you're on a plane to Hong Kong when you're watching this, who basically said that. He said he has his EV1. And he's like, it's just a camera that I want to pick up and use. He's like, it's addicting. And I'm just encouraged to shoot more because it's just so light and so pleasurable to work with. And this is someone that has every M body, M11 and et cetera. So that really stuck with me because I felt like, it is just a camera you want to pick up and use. But just circling back for a second, M11 with the VisaFlex, I think has one distinct advantage that you mentioned, which is you can angle the VisaFlex 2 up, which you cannot do, of course, on the EV1. You cannot use the VisaFlex 2 on the EV1. I probably should.
I mean, you can mount it. It won't do anything.
But it won't work. Yeah. So if you do a lot of top-down work, that may not be right for you unless you're going to start using the Photos app and like an iPad or an iPad or an iPhone, iPod Nano.
Now, and I'd say because we have the built-in EVF and we don't take up the hot shoe with the VisaFlex, this gives us two distinct advantages. We actually didn't bring the second advantage, which it just dawned on me. Right. So the first distinct advantage for me personally is I always struggle with, I prefer to use, that's Josh's side.
There we go.
I always struggle with, do I have the more comfortable situation with the thumb rest?
Thumb support.
Or thumb support, rather, here, right? Or do I have the accuracy for shooting wide angle and telephoto lenses and framing and focus with the VisaFlex? But I can't use both. You cannot mount both things in one hot shoe. the great thing about the M EV1 that I found immediately is I have an electronic viewfinder, and I have the thumb support, which is amazing. Because with the lightness of the camera, having the thumb rest, I mean, to quote myself, I think this is a must-have. Like if you have an EV1, you have to get a thumb support. It really changes the whole handling of the camera. It takes that lightness and makes it almost one-handed. I mean, depending on what lens you're using, right? But it's just so easy to cart around with that thumb support on there.
Yeah, the thumb support is cool because it's the same exact material and finish as the body. So it's aluminum. It weighs next to nothing.
Yep.
It looks like a perfect match because it
is
by Leica, and it just fits so well. And then you're not forced to put anything else on the camera if you want. But if you want the true magical ergonomic experience, then you go for one of these. Now, I want to talk about this for a second because, like I mentioned earlier, the M11 and the M EV1 share almost all their accessories, and that includes technically, Jose, can I get an overhead? The hand grip. Now, this is the M11 hand grip, catalog number 24025. And you'll see that it does have this tiny strip of body covering on it, which matches the M11. Something we did not mention earlier is that the M EV1 has the diamond pattern body covering similar to the Q3. Because of this, Leica did release an M EV1 hand grip. It's exactly the same as the M11 hand grip, except it has the diamond pattern body covering on this part. It's the same price. If you already have the one for the M11, there's no need to make the swap. Obviously, it's the same functionality, but it is a slightly different finish to match the camera's body. So if we want to really make the true ergonomic experience of the EV1, we put on the hand grip, we put on the thumb support, and now, especially with, like, for example, the lens that I was using recently was the 0.95 Noctilux. Throw that on there. This combination, for me, for my hands, feels amazing. I mean, obviously, not holding it at this level is a bit weird, but like holding it like this, holding it up to my face, being able to like have all this. And the craziest part is, for me, the first time that I used this camera, which was this exact setup you're seeing here, it was surreal to bring it up to my eye, feeling the way it feels, and see an EVF and not a rangefinder. At first, it was very weird. But I got used to it so quickly, especially with this combo, that it's like, this is now my go-to. And if you really want to be special, you can throw on the old...
I knew you were going to do that.
The old finger loop. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to get it. It takes like 30 turns to get this thing on there.
Precision.
We're getting there.
German precision.
We're getting there.
German precision.
Well, they don't want it to unscrew.
That would be very disastrous.
There we go. Look at that. Nice. Now you just put like a wrist strap on here and this thing's glued to your hand. It's really, really nice. I mean, look, I love the M camera ergonomics overall, with or without thumb supports. Everyone's going to have a different experience with that. But because for my photography is very live view oriented, using a polarizer and fast lenses, the EV1 and I really work well together. And this setup with the thumb support and the hand grip is just ergonomic joy. I mean, I love it. Even with the smaller lenses, it's just great. Now, everyone's hands are different, so this may not be right for everyone. But I do think the thumb support is simply a must. It's an accessory that we were divided on in the VisaFlex 2 era, which I guess we're still in, because you had to pick one, just like David was saying. But now you get both. It's amazing.
It is amazing. Amazing.
Okay, David, let me ask you some more questions if I may.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, there's a second advantage that we don't have a visual aid for this.
Yes, right.
And I personally didn't think about this because when I'm shooting with Leica M's, I never have thought about this in decades.
Years,
when I was out shooting with other, let's say, not Leica exclusive photographers, to use that, a lot of them were using flash on there. And I'm like, wait a minute, you can actually use flash and have an EVF because you have a usable hot shoe. Because isn't that what the hot shoe was made for originally? So you can use a flash system and have EVF with live view.
But I do want to talk on the same topic before we get into changing topics is, I know this is an M EV1 episode and we talked about like if you have an M11, or how are you going to decide between an M11 and a VisaFlex and an EV1. But let's go the other way for a minute. Because obviously the rangefinder's been around for a very long time and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Why would somebody...
Well, I think we should address that. The rangefinder's not going anywhere anytime soon.
I kind of said that already, but like...
Calm down.
Why would somebody choose an M11 or an M11P,
Yeah.
with or without the VisiFlex? Sure, cool to have both, over the M EV1?
Well, they enjoy the optical rangefinder experience.
I would say that is the number one reason, because throughout all photography, if you're shooting SLRs or EVF cameras, there is nothing that can, not just with Leicas, but with other rangefinders that exist.
Yep.
There's nothing that compares to that view.
Right.
Seeing everything uninterrupted outside the frames. What about focusing? Is there going to be a situation where an M camera with an optical rangefinder is better suited than the M EV1?
I think I think that the main scenario is going to be in extremely low light situations, because when we're dealing with an electronic viewfinder, and again, this isn't the first EV experience that people have had with Leica, so I think you can draw on that. But more on the current generations, right? So if you're used to using Q3 or SL3 viewfinders, you know that they are exceptional in pretty much, I'd say, most lighting conditions. Even in low light conditions, much more so than it used to be. Certainly, you have like an OG one here from the, from like a
this
while
is where
ago.
it all started,
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
So
let's not get down that rabbit hole.
oh, I could
No,
do an
no.
hour just on this. Okay, fine.
Okay, so going back to Leica's first electronic live view camera was the M Type 240, because you could use this electronic view. Wow, that is really light.
I know.
You could use that electronic viewfinder for all of 1.2 megapixels, I think.
If that.
If
That's
that.
all I needed personally.
That's all you needed, yeah.
saying.
And slow refresh, and with a camera, look, love to the 240, love the camera, but if you're shooting at a higher ISO with the EVF, it definitely had tearing and dragging, and that, and it's like, okay, maybe it's time to use a rangefinder now. So with the more modern iterations of electronic viewfinders and the Q3, the SL3, they're perform much better in low light, but there's still a limit. There's still a limit to where that performance ends, because it needs longer exposures, which means less frames per second, which means you start getting some of that kind of jitteriness when you're looking through the viewfinder, and you move the camera a lot, or you have subjects moving around a lot, and you start picking up noise. And at a certain point, like, you don't want to be using it. I'll give a classic example, right? We do a lot of astrophotography workshops with Colin, and man, it is a challenge with some of the cameras, if they only have electronic viewfinders, to get a clean view of the stars. And you think about the settings you're at like, 10,000 ISO, 10-second exposure. There's no light. So you're trying to delineate stars from noise. And certain cameras do better than others. Like the SL2S is amazing for astro, because it has a really clean EVF experience. So a lot of people stick with that, cleaner than the SL3. So it's I'd say in those situations, having an optical rangefinder could be a real advantage in a very, very low light situation with rapidly moving subjects. So think about like low light reportage, or environmental music photography, or environmental portraiture at night. And I think that's where a rangefinder could really excel. Historically, classically, like the mythos of the Leica rangefinder is that you could focus by the light of a single candle in a room. I've actually tried this. It does work. It's a very bright viewfinder, the optical finder. And as long as your windows are perfectly squeaky clean and your vision's pretty good, you can line up an object by the light of a single candle in a room. And I'm not sure that you could be as accurate or have as pleasant an experience doing so with an electronic viewfinder.
Yeah, and that will change over time as EVF technology continues to improve. But remember, Leica hasn't stood still on their optical rangefinders either. We saw a considerable improvement in the M10 generation from past generations of digital Ms with a higher magnification, brighter, and larger rangefinder viewfinder. So it's not like Leica's been sitting on their laurels using the same rangefinder for the last 25 years. They've actually made it better.
And even that one's been revised with the dark chrome surround.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yep.
So EVF technology is getting better. Rangefinder technology is getting better. Admittedly, a bit slower because it's been around a lot longer.
Right.
But it's certainly focusing in extreme low light situations is going to be where I think a rangefinder will have an advantage. And of course, the rangefinder has been around a long time and it has a lot of devotees for a good reason because it's a very unique experience. And I don't think Leica is sitting here saying, you're going to use this EV1 instead. They're giving us options, just like they did with the SL, the CL, the Q, and all the other
I think more than anything, you know, because I think the question when this came out, and certainly when Leica's talking about it, is who is this camera for? Is this camera for a traditional M shooter who has a collection of M cameras and they have the M11 already? Or maybe they have an M10 and they're looking to upgrade and not sure what, M11 generation camera body to get. Shout out to our M11 buying guide.
I read that for him.
Well,
Best thing ever. Yeah.
Little segue there. If you're having a hard time deciding, check out our guide online. Or I think that this might be kind of an entry point, kind of like the Q is to the overall Leica ecosystem. This is a less threatening, lower learning curve type of product for someone who might have been really interested in getting into the M system. They know that the lenses look amazing, but they're a little scared off by rangefinder because they have no experience in how to use a rangefinder. And, for someone coming into it kind of first time, never used it in their life, never got their hands on it, it probably can be a little daunting. It's difficult for us to sit here with our, just decades worth of experience and say, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
But if you rewind and say, well, think about the first time that you picked up a rangefinder.
Like, what the heck is going on?
What is that? What
are these lines? Yeah. We all had to start somewhere. I mean,
we all had to start somewhere.
It's all good.
Right. We didn't start at the end. We started at the beginning.
Right.
And I think that's where the EV1 really can shine in the Leica lineup, which is this is a really natural entry point. A lot of people are used to electronic viewfinder mirrorless cameras. This gives them, the only caveat is, okay, now it's manual focus. There's no autofocus. So they only have one obstacle to overcome, not, it's manual focus and it's this weird focusing system from the 1950s. What do I do? So it gives some level of familiarity and a safety net for new entrants. And I think for the Leica, loyalist of us and existing M11 users, it's fun. It's a fun camera to use. And I think it could be a good complement to an existing, let's say M11P or M11 monochrome. I'm sure there's countless combinations that you can make where this could fit into your kit.
Yeah.
Or it could be something where someone has an SL and they're looking to get into M and have the same problem where they're not comfortable with a rangefinder because they came up through a Q and an SL and only know mirrorless electronic live view cameras. This again gives them that safety. So I think it's a smart move by Leica. They're clearly not getting rid of rangefinder.
Right.
That is very, very clear. So it kind of falls there for me.
For me personally, look, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a live view guy, for the kind of photography that I do, which is always with a circular polarizing filter like this one, always, because I'm doing automotive, landscape, watches, anything like that. So having a polarizer necessitates needing to be able to see through the lens.
Sure.
Yes, you could use the adapter and it's a bit ungainly, but practically speaking, I also use lots of weird, vintage, exotic, funky lenses. Now for years and continuing to this day, the SL platform has been my main system for that. The SL3 with, for example, the M adapter, the M adapter L, which David is putting on the camera now, is an incredible platform for that. It has an amazing viewfinder, stabilization, super customizable. We've talked about it, for years since the original SL came out. This is a fantastic M lens platform, but it's not an M camera. It doesn't handle like one. It doesn't feel like one. It doesn't weigh like one. And it's a fantastic tool, but not right for everyone all the time, including myself. In those situations, sure, I'd bring an M. I'd end up with a VisaFlex 2. Unless I was shooting street stuff, then no. For me, the M EV1 is basically my dream camera because it brings together everything that I like the best. A really, really nice EVF, really, really lightweight, and the ability to natively take M lenses, which is what the lenses that I use the most, at least for my car stuff, because I like vintage, funky stuff. So I am that much more motivated and encouraged to take pictures with it because it's so much more wieldable in casual situations than the SL. The SL is still going to be my workhorse.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm really getting into it, the flexibility, especially being able to use the insanely good Apple SL Summicrons that are just mind-blowing, that's always going to be the purpose for this camera. But what I've discovered with the EV1 is it's just a dream platform for these lenses that gets me out using it, that I'm carrying it all day. It's not weighing me down. I'm not thinking about it. It feels already natural. I don't have to readjust to a new menu system, to a new body type. I just pick it up and I feel right at home.
Sure.
And when I spent a day using it, the first day I spent using it, which was in at the big tropical botanical garden, so it was like really dark and it was like mist spraying and stuff. And I started working with it and I saw how quickly I was getting perfect focus I was using a Noctilux, 35 Apo and a 90 macro Elmar. I was hooked instantly. And I think that segue, because it's not 90 hours, so I want to talk about the big topic.
Sure.
Right now.
Okay.
Which is there are some focus aids.
There are.
That all of Leica's live view cameras have, but we're going to focus on the ones that the M EV1 have. I'm going to get there.
Yep, and I'll talk about
how to activate them, because that's different than what we've seen in the past.
It is.
So Dave, what I would like you to do is talk us through what the focus aids are and how to activate them. And then we'll both talk about what we use and what we avoid.
Sure.
Take it away.
So, another little design element here, and Jose, you can get a little overhead view for me. Looking on the front of the EV1, you'll notice...
Look at that lens hood. Oh, man.
Don't worry about that. That's love right there. That's what that is.
That's patina.
That's patina. That's right.
Boy.
All right. And maybe a different lens. All right. Right here, this looks like a Frameline preview lever that we would have on a optical rangefinder body. But that has been repurposed by Leica that it is now an assignable function button, which is pretty cool. So it has two functions, either towards the lens or away from the lens. And if I turn the camera on, here we go. And I have some beautiful live view here.
Look at that lovely table.
Look at that lovely table. And I activate it, so I'm actually going to push it towards the lens. And that activated right here. It's really hard to see, but that is focus peaking. That little symbol of a person with the red outline, that's focus peaking. If I go the other way, you will see that this is a 1.3x crop. And I do it again, it'll be 1.8x crop. This is similar to the digital crop modes that we see on the Q3, just with those two though. It's actually the same ones that are in the M11 standard, but most people don't just activate them by, a very default behavior. They are there. On here, I guess the intention is like, oh, if you shoot this, then sure, you can see what's happening outside your frame lines kind of feeling. I'm not a big fan of that. I tend to shoot basically full frame, corner to corner. I want to get the most out of the lenses. Sure, if you are trying to shoot something really far away and all you have, let's say, is a 75 or a 90 millimeter, sure, you can crop in a little bit, and when you play it back, you'll see the cropped image on playback. But I don't think that's great. I also not a huge fan of the focus peaking.
But we'll get there.
But we're going to get there. If you want to reassign that, so let's say I don't want to use the magnifier, what I find is focus aid or focus magnification is far more useful. So I'm going to push and hold that. So what I did is I just held it in that position.
You don't have to keep it held.
No, you don't have to keep it held, but basically a long, like the equivalent of a long press, but a long hold. And you'll see here, we've got digital zoom, focus aid, focus peaking, and off. I'm going to put it on focus aid. And what that will do, let's see if I can see my beautiful keyboard here. Okay, now
There you go. You're making it work.
I'm making it work. This will give you a magnified view, 100% view in this case. And of course, you can use the rear dial as a control to control that zoom level. So you have either full, which makes no sense. Why would you have full? Because you zoomed in, or basically half frame, or what I use is the most detailed there. And you'll notice this kind of happens here where you end up in the corner. If you go back to the full frame and you just double tap in the middle, you will now see that it resets to the middle. It's a little workaround, and you can also, there's some menu settings you can change to disable your nose affecting them.
While you're in the close-up there, David,
Yes.
we talked about how this camera has a roller arm, for the rangefinder lenses.
It does.
Maybe this is a good time to talk about why that's there and what function that performs.
Right. So it has a small roller cam right here, which,
You may be saying, why does it have that when there's no rangefinder?
yeah. Now normally, let me pull an M11 so you can see the difference.
Leaving the camera pointed up with the sensor exposed.
Totally am.
Classic David Farkas.
Classic. Okay, you'll notice the roller cam here is in a similar position. And what this is it changes the position of where that rangefinder alignment is in your viewfinder. That is exactly how an M focuses. Amazing, right? So on the back of a lens, just as a refresher here, this piece here, the focus helicoil, moves in and out depending on the lens. And that is how the camera and vis-a-vis the rangefinder know where the lens is focused to.
Magical.
Magical. It's amazing.
But get back to the EV1, please.
Back to the EV1.
Yes.
So why do we need a roller cam here if we have no mechanical linkage required for that lens to work with a non-existent rangefinder system? The reason is, what's pretty cool actually, is you can have the camera activate an automatic focus aid magnification when it detects that you are actually focusing the lens.
This is, sorry to interrupt.
Yes, go ahead.
This is the same functionality we've had on the M11s and the M10s, where it detects that you're turning the focus ring and it will automatically magnify to whatever the last zoom level you had set. And to me, this is one of the biggest advantages of using the EV1 over the SL3 with M lenses, because on the SL3, you have to manually activate the focus assist, the zooming in,
You do.
which is not that difficult, but it's one extra step. Should you so choose on the EV1, just like on the M11s, you can simply turn the focus ring, you begin the process of focusing, and it will automatically magnify. And that's for me when I'm working a little more quickly, it just makes it that much easier to punch in, get my precise focus, half press, and boom. What I'll say is for me, I disable the front lever. I hope and will assume Leica will add more features in firmware that we can
do
put
hope
on
so.
there. I'm sure they
Yes.
will, because I actually prefer the top button for magnification.
As I do as well.
Just to be honest, like I don't use the lever, so it's cool that it's there. I barely use it on a rangefinder with the Premium preview, and
Yeah. So I'll explain also kind of how the ergonomics of that. So in theory, it's cool that they repurpose this lever. In practice, let's say I have the camera to my eye and I'm focusing with this hand. This is also known as my left hand, right? I'm focusing. Oh, I need to get some magnification.
yeah, it's a little bit
And
ungainly.
it's like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to turn magnification off. Okay.
Well, you can have press, but
I
yeah.
could have press,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
I
it's
have
weird,
to
yeah.
disengage from the shooting position where I want, like, one of the most critical things that I need is my hand on the lens so I can adjust focus dynamically to the subject. Me taking my hand off of the lens to do that, I mean, maybe someone who's like really nimble can get their thumb up there.
Yeah.
But the top button here, the top function button, as I'm focusing, I can just,
Much more natural.
just move my finger slightly off the shutter release, tap that for focus aid,
And
go back.
to answer a question in the chat, that's a great question. That's exactly what to do with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Leica's new close focus lenses, because they are not rangefinder coupled in the close focus range, that automatic focus magnification will not work. So that's where using that top button, at least for our experience, for manual magnification, really comes into play because it won't do it automatically.
Correct.
So thank you for asking that in the chat.
Correct.
Very relevant. Now, here's the thing. For some reason, I mean, Leica has had focus peaking for years. I mean, for years.
It's been a while.
I almost never talk to anyone about it. Everyone just uses magnification, or they talk about focus peaking with some other Leica specialist. Who knows? But in the last month, I have had more conversations about focus peaking than I have had in 15 years. And it's fascinating to me. And what I'll tell you is that in my experience on the M cameras, focus peaking is more of a hindrance than a help. Well, you may be asking, well, but how do you achieve precise focus? I have personally found that using the focus assist, meaning the magnification, is all that I need to get precise focus, even with fast M lenses like the Noctilux, etc. Now, granted, if you're stopped down really, really far and it's really, really dark, maybe not. But the reality is that I don't use focus peaking ever.
Nor do I.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't if it works for you. If it works for you, then please keep using it because all we care about is you get pictures you're happy with.
What I have found is the focus peaking is it's not accurate enough because it shows, especially when you're stopped down, it shows more being
You want to set it on low for sure.
the sensitivity
Yes,
you're talking about,
yeah.
which will help with that. But also what I can't stand is, especially, let's say I'm shooting a person and their eyes have little green rings on them and their mouth and everything, they just glowing green. And you can't, to the point where you can't even see their expression. You can't see where their eyeballs are pointed because they're covered with blobs of focus peaking.
Yeah.
So it drives me a little bit crazy. And likewise, any details in the scene are covered up. The sharpest areas of the photo, by definition, have, and it doesn't have to be green. Yes, you can change it to blue or red, but it has some obnoxious color overlaying on top of the sharpest areas of your photo, which is generally your subject, which means you can't see what you're taking pictures of. So it drives me a little bit crazy personally.
Yeah.
I know there are fans out there, and you do you.
That's fine. If it works for you, that's totally cool.
great.
But what I'm saying is,
What
if
drives?
go ahead.
What we don't like?
Yes.
We're gonna agree to
Yes.
agree. This should not be the default behavior. Like the default setup of the camera should not be focus peaking and like frame magnification. The default behavior should just be focus aid and nothing. I would love, and Josh would love, like he mentioned, to see more assignable functions on that lever. I could think,
Yeah.
listen, user profile would be amazing,
that'd be so cool. Yeah.
right? Would love to see user profile.
What about to activate the built-in hidden optical rangefinder feature? Ooh.
Don't tell them about that. I would also say activating self-timer would be great,
Yeah.
right?
Like the OG self-timer lever we had on the old cameras. That'd be cool.
It would be great to
Yeah.
activate ISO selection with that.
We'll get there. Like, if you're paying attention, please do that for us. But just to reiterate, we have found that focus peaking gets in the way. It doesn't help. Simply using the magnification is what I think
better.
is the way to go. And it's worked wonders for me.
And I do have to have a little public service announcement here. Okay. Again, diopter corrections have been around for a while. Electronic viewfinders have been around for a while. But there still seems to be a little bit of confusion and frustration in getting an accurately adjusted diopter for your EVF. And here is what you want to do. And you've probably heard us say this before. We're going to say it again because this is specifically an electronic viewfinder camera. Do not try to focus on an image in your viewfinder. Activate the menu. Bring up the menu in your camera. Look through the viewfinder. Adjust the diopter so the text is sharp, because the image may or may not be sharp with a manual focus lens, but that text should be pinpoint sharp, and you'll see it all the way across your frame, and you'll be able to accurately get that diopter dialed in the first time, lock it in, and be happy with it.
Exactly. So just bring the viewfinder up to your eye, activate the menu, look at the menu text or the quick menu screen, and adjust the diopter, push it in, lock it, and you'll have your setting just the way you like it.
Yes.
That's really, really important. Now,
Very important.
since it's 9 o'clock, I think we should take a brief tangent and then dive in so we can give everybody a break. Now,
We're going to do breathing exercises now.
you may have noticed on my corporate card, there was that $300,000 charge, and you're probably going to fire me next week about it, but I wanted to take a moment to explain why I put $300,000. It was like $325. I have hired a team of consultants.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Harvard grads, all top-notch consultants.
Great.
Who have poured through thousands, hundreds of thousands of emails, comments, questions, all to try to find what is the single most asked question of us at Leica Storm Me and Red Dot Forum. What is it? I mean, it costs a fortune. I mean, I've been working on this for years.
Okay.
I mean, there's a reason you haven't seen me recently. It's because, and so you may think, oh, it's about they want this, they want that. No. There is one question,
Yes.
one demand
Yes.
that comes up
What is it?
more than anything.
I'm dying with anticipation to
The
know.
folks want to be able to wear their favorite YouTube hosts on their clothing. I don't know why this keeps coming up, but what we have decided is to acquiesce to this demand, to cave in, and to finally give the community at large the thing they have been literally drooling over for the last 15 years.
Wow.
Even before we had the show.
And who says that consultants are overpaid?
Right? It was totally, I hope we make it up now. Jose, if you can go to my top down. So this, where's the overhead? There we go. This is it. This is what you have been waiting for. The Red Dot Forum Camera Talk enamel pin set featuring your all-time favorite, not just YouTube posts, just favorite people. I mean, just put these over your wedding photos, whatever. This is a pin set of 6 pins. We have obviously the Red Dot Forum Camera Talk logo. We have our favorite saying, it depends. Of course, we have our fearless leader, Mr. David. We have myself. We have gone but not forgotten, of course, Enzo, who used to always be asleep under the table during the shows. And then the man in the box, the legendary man in the box. Although I think he doesn't have a beard today. Are you clean shaven today?
I did today, actually.
Only sometimes. So this is, you can see how big they are. We just got these in. They are a limited edition.
They are metal.
They're beautiful. They have the nice like classic. They come with this cool like backing. They're really, really nice. They're really, really well made. The detailing is phenomenal. I think Brandon's brother.
Yes, he did.
Shout out to Brandon's brother Jason.
He did the artwork.
Doing the artwork, and for Santa Claus David over here looking as salt and pepper as ever.
I got to catch up to Peter. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, these are the coolest things. And Jose will drop a link in the chat if you actually want to wear us or
Like a camera bag.
put it on your camera bag, put it on a strap, put it on a. If you come to a Leica Storm Me event with one of these on your lapel, you get special extra bonus points. I don't know what you win.
Oh, okay.
Especially if you're wearing the Josh pin.
Right,
I should have
right.
worn this shirt. This shirt's pretty close to what I would wear.
I love that you're pleading. You're pleading.
I am frequently pleading you. What I'm saying
That
is,
actually looks like the same shirt, though.
it's very close. I know what shirt this is. It's not this one. But
Right.
what I'm saying here is please update your firmware. I'm going like this. I'm begging people to update their firmware. So I'm hoping. How much did I tell you? 600,000? 300,000. I forget. Whatever it was.
325.
Hopefully the $700,000 that I spent to hire these consultants pays off.
By the way, I love the microphone in front of Jose. That's great.
The realism is
Yeah, the
palpable.
realism
I mean,
is fantastic. Yeah.
It's just amazing. Anyway, so I hope you take a little bit of joy out of something a little bit funky. You know, we've done all kinds of fun stuff with our Red Dot Wear brand for quite some time, and this is just a bit of a tangent. This is something to celebrate the show, and you know we've been doing this almost 6 years now. And
Yep.
What's the watch that you're wearing on the pin, Josh?
That's got to be the Daytona. I think it's the one I'm wearing now. I would assume that's a good. I think we to avoid potential lawsuits, we probably generic watch brand. But anyway, this is super super cool, and they're like a nice size, and they really are like they're beautiful. If you're in the shop sometime, you come check them out.
And they're limited to however many we can sell, right?
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
However many we sell by the end of the show is how many that they're limited to. So
Ooh.
if you want to support the show and you want to carry us around in your pocket, that is the way. Obviously, like you should only be buying it for the Josh and Enzo pins. But,
Obviously.
you know, I'll buy it for the David and Jose personally. But
Right.
anyway, just something fun.
Wait. Was I like this?
We should all like this. No. Like this.
Oh yeah.
I also want to mention the topic of fun things you can do with us at Leica Storm Miami. Our colleague Peter and Colin, they run, and David, these fantastic photo adventures all over the world. And we are doing $500 off a couple of our workshops. We have Kyoto, Lisbon, the Azores, and Kenya spots open. So if you want to come with us on a photo adventure,
Bring it. Oh,
David will find it on the computer.
we go.
Now is a great time to do it because we have not only some great programs, but also some stuff that is promoted. So
Yep. So we've got a spot left for our Kyoto workshop in March. A few spots left for Lisbon. 5 spots for the Azores, Kenya, And the other one, oh, and looks like we have 2 last-minute spots due to a cancellation for our very limited Svalbard trip in July, which is going to be pretty cool.
Did you drop the link for the pins on anything?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Anyway, yeah, so we have some really, really cool programs coming up. I also have to shout out to Kira Crowell, who is the current artist featured in our gallery. We had an incredible opening with Kira December something, recently, like last week. Thank you for everybody who came. Thank you to Kira for producing an incredible show. If you're going to be passing through Miami at some point, it's worth coming to check out her work in the Himalayas, celebrating 10 years of the SL system. She's using all the generations of the SL in these super inhospitable conditions and making absolutely gorgeous monochromatic landscape work. So definitely big shout out to Kira. Thank you for coming to Miami, giving a great talk, and for the privilege of showing your work.
For sure.
I think we need to answer some questions.
Yes.
Since you and I have been, let's say, blathering. Oh, so you're on the same page. We still want to talk about some cool accessories. I got some cool vintage lenses to try, but
Okay.
we have been talking. Now it is time for us to listen. So Jose, why don't you tell us what we got?
Sure. So, okay, you kind of mentioned this, but somebody was asking about the focus peaking on the EV1, but we went over that.
Don't use it. Unless it works for you. I want to make sure, like, if you're liking it and we say don't use it, don't stop using it. Like,
No, don't use it. Just stop. Just stop.
Prohibit it.
Just stop.
How is the battery life on the EV1?
Yeah, the only test I haven't done is like a side to side, just leaving them sit. But I was able to I had the EV1 running for 4 hours straight before the battery was basically near death. So you could shoot all day on 2 batteries. It's not as good as the M11 because the M11 has the best battery life we've seen in years.
Well, because you don't have live view active, unless, well, to apples would be like, okay, do you have an M11 with the VisiFlex and live view enabled with sleep turned off?
Yeah.
And do you have the M EV1 on with sleep turned off?
Oh, this is a perfect segue into the new trend that I'm about to start.
Okay.
Because we should talk about batteries, right?
That is not at all a segue. We're
Yes. I don't care. It's 9 o'clock.
Wait, you're doing it.
I'm doing it. Okay. Stop the presses. So, batteries, yes. Battery life on the M EV1 is not quite as good as the M11. It's still quite good, but I always recommend having a spare. Here's the thing. All y'all are doing is buying the black battery, if I can get the overhead real quick. The black battery that comes with the camera. Oh, cool. It's the same color. Wow. Lame. For the first time in 71 and a half years of the M system, we get to do something we've never done before, which is battery customization.
Wow.
And I am starting this trend right now, right here on the show, because I think this is grossly underrated. We all love our straps and our soft releases and our thumb supports and blah, 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 and all different colors. But no one talks about batteries because we have 4 different finishes now in the M11 family. So let's say you want to get 3 batteries for your EV1 and you want to make sure you know which ones are which. Labels are lame. They could fall off. That's dumb. Instead, you have your black battery and then your spare is a safari battery or an olive green battery. Cool. That battery gets depleted. Swap it out. Put in a glossy black battery. That battery gets depleted. Pop it out. Wait a minute. Where's that silver one? Put in a silver battery. This is actually labeled. You can see who it belongs to. It says Josh on it. How cool would that be? Is you're out in the field, you're not sure which battery you use, which battery you didn't use. You want to add a little bit of flair to your camera. They're the same functionality, except how cool. It's also like it's like having the exhibition back on the watch. It's like one of those things. It's just for you. It's just for you. It's just for me too. So all I'm gonna say is, if you want to hop on the coolest new Leica trend before anyone else, okay? Olive green Safari battery, glossy black battery in your black M EV1 or in your silver M11. You heard it here first. I guess we can answer some more questions now.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Jose, put a link in the chat to buy the different color batteries, please.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, I am gonna sell batteries tonight, baby.
Can I make a confession though?
No. Yes.
I feel like maybe I'm ahead of the curve because since the M11 came out, batteries were not widely available, as you may remember.
I do remember that.
So in my collection, I have a silver extra battery for my black camera.
See? He's doing it. He's cool. I will definitely buy you a cortado with oat milk if you come into the Leica store wearing a Josh lapel pin and a different color mismatched battery in your M11.
Wow.
That's it. So
Wait,
you want-
no. Do they get the upgraded? The Jose, what do you get? The matcha latte.
The matcha, yeah, we'll get you a matcha latte. Sure.
Honey and light eyes.
By the way, there's a fantastic coffee shop right next to the store that's pretty recently opened up, and it is we're spending too much of our time and money there.
Shout out to them. They're awesome. Anyway, I guess we can take some more questions. Fine, that's so boring.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
You got it.
All right. Do the other batteries last longer or no?
Yes, yeah. Secret trip. The more colorful the battery, the longer it lasts.
Exactly.
Nice.
All right. Can you comment on the metering? It seems like highlight weighted doesn't work the same on the EV1 as it does on the M11.
In my experience, it works pretty much the same. I mean, you're talking about the same sensor, the same live view architecture, the same metering. If there is some discrepancy, I imagine it'll get ironed out in firmware. But personally, in my time shooting with the camera, I didn't notice it. I use highlight weighted as my preferred metering method, especially when I'm shooting metering off the full sensor because I got to protect those highlights at any cost.
There you go. Next question.
Okay. How does the M EV1 focus accuracy compare to a well-adjusted M Type 240?
Now, this one is interesting, right? Wait, did you say to a 240?
Yeah, but we could say any well-adjusted.
I mean, any
rangefinder.
well-adjusted
Ideal
rangefinder. Okay.
rangefinder.
Yeah.
I mean, by its nature, it will be more accurate than a rangefinder. I mean, let's say we're shooting something with extraordinarily small, shallow depth of field.
Best lens ever. 90
Josh loves it.
Summilux. I
Right.
love
So
it.
this is a 90 Summilux. So a 90 millimeter f1.5, which is unlike some of like vintage lenses. This is tack sharp wide open, right? Very high resolving, but depth of field at minimum distance of like 0.5 millimeter. Okay, this is not a lens that is, I would say, easy to focus on a rangefinder wide open at close distances. But on the EV1, you magnify, you have the combination of a high resolution sensor that you're getting pixel for pixel readout combined with a much higher resolution electronic viewfinder at almost 6 megapixels. And you're going to be more accurate with the EV1 on a lens like that, for sure. And I'd say the same thing of vintage lenses that may or may not be, I guess it's kind of a caveat to your question, but a lot of vintage lenses aren't like as calibrated accurately as modern optics. So definitely focusing off the sensor itself will be the most accurate by its nature.
There you go. Next question.
All right. Let's see. Please discuss the flexibility of lenses with the EV1, R, M, others with adapters.
Let's go.
I'm so glad that you asked because the EV1 is an amazing platform for cool lenses. And it's the reason that I love it so much. As an example, I will show you a cool lens. Here is a tube. Inside this tube is another tube. Inside that tube are pieces of glass. This is one of the most underrated and relatively affordable telephoto Leica lenses ever. The Apotelit R 180 f3.4. Let's try it on. Lens. R adapter M on the lens. There we go.
You're doing great.
Doing it
You're doing
backwards. EV1. Best camera ever for today until a new one comes out. Adapter. Boom. Let's turn it on. Now, I have, I'm gonna put this.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
With the hand, with the thumb.
The dream combo right here. So if you're gonna put the long glass on, you gotta have the hand grip. Should have done this before. I
And
put
the
ones
thumb
on
support.
camera. And the thumb support. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Are we there yet?
We are there.
All right,
Let's
let's
check
go.
it out. Lens it. Nice.
Pretty nice setup.
Look at that. So this is a blast. Now in the studio, I'm gonna try to shoot it. It's gonna be a little bit tough since there's photograph Jose over here. Here we go. Hey, it's Jose. Now, of course, I need to use my top button for magnification here because there is no rangefinder mechanism inside the lens. So we'll go to Jose.
That's a really weird top view.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I can't do it. Like, I can't.
Can you just lean down, get the crouch down? Yeah.
Anyway, you get the idea. So this is really, really, even in this dark studio and a lens f 3.4, you want to try it? It's actually not bad.
see it.
It's gaining up pretty nicely.
Jose is going to be my subject here.
That's right. I think it's awesome.
Right.
And I'll mention, in a totally shocking coincidence, this lens is for sale at Leica Store Miami. And Jose can drop a link in the chat. Freshly serviced at DAG.
I also forgot to mention, and using a 180, it makes it even clearer. It is electronically stabilized EVF.
Right. So I should mention there is no sensor-based stabilization. So apples to apples, the SL3 will give you a more stable, slow shutter speed image with a lens like this. But of course, if you're using it outside, the differences are negligible because you're not using slow shutter speeds. So I'm not saying you should go around with a 180 all the time on your M camera, but the fact that you can take it out with a couple of M lenses, throw a 180 in the bag if you need the reach every now and then, and it works really well. What's wrong with that? I mean, it's cool.
It's really nice.
Just keep the adapter on.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to say something I don't regret.
Oh boy, here we go.
When you handed it to me, it had focus peaking on.
Oh no. Did you like it?
I kind of liked it.
Oh my gosh. This man has gone full circle on air. This is the first time it's ever happened.
I turned it off.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't want
But, you know, I was focusing on some, actually, Jose's webcam that has a very, very small white text on it. And actually, in that particular use case, you can see with the focus peaking, it actually
it's
worked
pretty
pretty
sweet. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I love that this works.
Yes.
Like, how cool is that? Another fun use is with vintage M lenses. So, for example, let me just disassemble this for a moment here. Let's say, you know, you say, well, I want a longer lens. And as much as I would love to buy this amazing lens, that's for sale at www.leicastarmiami.com, but it wasn't right for you. Fine, I can accept that. So what would you do instead to get a long lens with some character? Well, I'm going to show you what you need to do. Ooh, it's pretty. This is one of my other favorite vintage tellies, 90 Summicron Preaspheric or pre-apo. So well bubble wrapped. Here we go. I can't find the edge. And also freshly serviced. Look at that. What's cool about this lens is it actually looks like the modern 90 apo and feels very similar, except it renders completely different. Pop that on there.
It looks just like it.
Yeah, let's go top-down view on this. So yeah, this actually looks like a 90 apo. It is 6-bit coded, as you can see, so it'll work really easily on the M EV1. Except now, instead of having a 90 apo, I have a vintage 90 that gives me a completely different rendering. Oh, it's so cool for portraits. I'm gonna shoot the bear. Here we go. Where's our bear friend? There he is. Look at him. Oh, this is really. And I am not having a hard time achieving focus here in the studio.
And it's not. Other areas of the studio are not lit. So,
look at this little guy.
Hey.
You know that guy. Lovely photo of our unlit bear. So we actually just got 2 of these in, which is unusual. Both serviced. I think both with original boxes. So if you wanted a sub $2,000, really, really fun and freshly serviced vintage telephoto lens to use on any M or SL, but I think really especially on the EV1, Jose can drop a link as well. The timing is perfect because these lenses really have a new lease on life with a camera like the EV1.
It sure does, yeah. And also wide angle lenses, right?
Oh, for sure.
And macro, but
oh, why don't you talk a little about that, David? Well, then your turn. It's your turn. I've been doing all the blabbing.
I get to play.
David gets to play.
So let's take a look here. Now, on the camera right now is one of my all-time favorite lenses, which you certainly couldn't tell by how mint this lens is. Clearly, it never gets any use whatsoever.
Oh, no, it sits on a shelf.
Yeah, it just sits on a shelf.
That's right.
It's wrapped in plastic.
That's right.
What makes this lens so incredibly useful? This is a 35 Apo Summicron M, and it has in the gray numbers here. You go past with a little stopping point here, a little detent at 0.7 meters. That's the minimum rangefinder couple distance. There's a lot of bubble wrap.
Sorry. Yeah, let's put the lens back.
All right, and when you push slightly past that, you get into the close focus range, which goes down to 0.3 meters on this particular lens. And that actually works really well on the M EV1 because it's live view. Likewise, any of the other, I think that one is, let me grab that.
With the lens? I'll get it.
Yeah, grab.
Yeah, the 50, yeah. Here.
Right. So then Leica said, "Oh, that was a good idea," and they rolled out on other popular lenses like the 50 Summilux f1.4. This is the latest version, which also has, look at that, a close focus range, down 2.45 meters. Yes, the 35 Summilux, the same. And talking about close focus.
Here we go. This is the combo that I used the first time that I shot, just to interrupt for a moment. And I was really curious to see how an f4 90mm lens shooting macro would work on the EV1. I was shooting in the butterfly, whatever they call it, conservatory. And whew, it was great. I was like, this is addicting. I mean, that we have a whole macro episode, which we'll have to, of course, redo with the EV1. No kidding. But show them how that works, David. Sorry,
Yes,
go back to him.
That's okay. And in fact, I would echo that. So I don't know if I don't think I mentioned it in my announcement article, but I didn't mention it here yet. Leica was kind enough to invite me to come to Alba, Italy, back in August to get a preview with the camera, along with a lot of other YouTubers and camera reviewers. So it was really fun to be there in that setting, get a presentation by Leica, kind of the thinking behind the camera, all of the relevant. Actually, come back to the main frame here. Sorry, and before I talk about that, and it was really great to be with the Leica product managers responsible for the camera. So you had Stefan Daniel, who's vice president of product. You had Jesko van Unhausen, who used to be the M System product manager, but now he's director of product management. Micah Harberts, who we've talked about on the show as well, and she is in charge of innovation and kind of like new ideas at Leica, and she's phenomenal. She was there. She actually was one of the ones who gave the presentation on the M EV1. And also Christian, who's the product manager for this camera. I said that right? Christoph. Sorry,
Christian who?
Sorry, not Christian. Christoph Mueller. Sorry,
Yes.
who's the product manager of this camera. And he was there. To actually have some of the key product managers take such an acute interest to see how the camera was received by these, as I said, let's say non-exclusive Leica people, was kind of interesting. And what I found fun is to walk around and kind of be a fly on the wall, listen to their thoughts on the camera. And certainly I wasn't shy. I was like, well, what do you think so far? What are you thinking? Like, how does this compare to whatever? And it's really fascinating because we tend to be kind of stuck in our own little Leica, echo box, right? Of like, everything's great and it's amazing. Well,
Which it is.
But there is life outside of Leica. I know, Josh.
I'm cold.
It's gonna be okay. So I really appreciated the opportunity to be with these photographers who all shoot in such different ways and take such a different approach to their photography, and I guess have a wide variety of cameras and lenses and things that they've tried and reviewed. And everybody was having, again, we come back to this word. Everyone was having a lot of fun, and they just kept saying how fun it was to use and how to get back to basics, but in a modern version of that. So that was pretty cool. Now, to come back to the macro lens, this is one of the lenses that I took with me. So I took a kit of lenses, 35 apo, I think I took the 50 apo, a couple wide angles, and then I took this 90 macro with the macro adapter M. And I kept it just like you see here. I never took the macro adapter off because, and now come to the overhead, and I'll break into this. What's so cool about this is when Leica redesigned the 90 macro and the macro adapter, because this used to come with a goggled adapter, and you'd have to remove it in order to get infinity focus. They redesigned it such that if you keep the lens collapsed in this position and the macro ring totally closed down, this is now a normal focusing range 90. Everything from 0.8 meters down all the way to infinity. It's like slightly finicky. You gotta just be careful that you don't bump the aperture ring. But this worked great as a regular 90, and then when I wanted to do close range, all I had to do was flip the front out, and if I wanted even closer focus, I could roll this macro adapter to get even more spacing and more distance. Now, of course, it's not full range, but it was really fun to use this in the macro setting and immediately just transition to here. Now, as Josh pointed out, the macro adapter is not rangefinder coupled. So if you put this on a traditional M camera, you can't actually use rangefinder focusing with this setup at all unless you remove the adapter, remove the adapter from the lens, put the lens back on the camera, extend the lens. Now it's rangefinder coupled. But it was so convenient to just keep that macro adapter on the whole time. You just use it as a normal 90 when I wanted that, and use it as a macro 90 when I wanted that flexibility. So in that regard, this lens actually saw a fair amount of use on the camera during my testing there because it was just so much fun. So yeah, I would say that's cool. And then in terms of wide angle, just as an option here, you could use something like the wide angle Tri-Elmar or the 21, I think it's here.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Super Elmar, yeah.
Yeah, the 21 Super Elmar is a fantastic option. And what's great about the 21 or the wide angle Tri-Elmar, just go top down one more time for me, Jose. You'll see the depth of field scale is just massively large. So if you just shoot this at f8 and set your infinity mark to f8, you'll see on the other side, it goes down to less than a meter. It's like 0.9 meters to infinity at f8. You don't even have to worry about focusing or any of the focus aid or focus peak and anything like that. All you do is point and shoot. So I love the flexibility of a ultra wide angle lens like this.
Nice.
And it's even more so if you're using the wide angle Tri-Elmar because you have also 18 and 16, which have even more depth of field and tons of fun, especially for street or landscape.
Let's talk a little bit about accessories, and I want to have you show some images.
Sure.
But I want to talk about some of the kind of must-have or like really most useful accessories for the EV1. Then I'm going to have David talk about his literal favorite topic, which is power cables. But
Oh, I forgot about that.
before we get there,
Oh my God, power cables,
just
yes.
a quick run through of my must-haves. I'll kind of build it up here. I know we
Yes.
covered some of this already. Jose, you want to give me a top-down? So first must-have, Leica M11 thumb support. Easy, right? Second must-have, if you like the ergonomics of it, is the hand grip, whether you go for the M11 one, if you already have it, or the EV1 specific one. You don't need to have the finger loop on there. I think that's, some people that works great, especially if you're working with a hand strap or a wrist strap. But I think these two really make it super ergonomically pleasant. Next, you are going to want an extra battery. If you want to be cool, again, go with the green one or the black paint one or the silver one. After that, I am going to recommend, this is filthy, a screen protector, which with this one already has on it. What I have noticed is that the M11s that I'm taking, not necessarily taking on trade, but seeing my customers working with, I guess they're just getting more use because they do tend to get some hairline scratches on the screen, maybe more predominantly than the predecessors. It doesn't affect usability, but I think if you do want to protect the camera from day one, I do recommend the Leica screen protector, which is, let's see if I can get this, the size 4, catalog number 1962.
That's got a lot of shine on it.
I'm trying my best here. Anyway, screen protector is
We need some polarizers.
highly recommended. Then I would also say if you don't want to have the hand grip, you can look at a case. The Leica M11 made half cases do fit the EV1 really nicely. I will demonstrate that now. This is Leica M11 half case. I'm not going to screw it all the way on, which you can do here, but it fits. I've done it. It fits perfectly fine. The Arte de Mano half case also fits as well. Pop that on there.
Ooh, that's nice.
This is a beautiful blue one that we have. Ooh, for sale, pre-owned right now. Ooh, nice.
Wow, that looks
So
great.
if you want a half case, you can go for it. The Leica, the nice thing about the grip is it is really right stuff or Arca compatible. Like it would fit in there, which is cool. The other accessory that I would recommend, a little frustrating to recommend because they're hard to get right now, and then I'll segue to David.
Oh boy.
Is
I have to
the
get
standalone Leica M11 charger. I do like the fact that the camera has USB charging internally, but if you have 2 batteries, which of course you do because you bought a green one from us, you're going to want to charge it in the standalone charger. This is catalog number 24027. if you want to pre-order one. They tend to come in big batches, so don't be too discouraged. Whenever we get one, we'll ship it to you. Super, super nice.
Show how that works.
Yeah, just plugs in USB-C, and you
Oh,
just
man. The battery clicks in.
put a battery in there. Yeah, pretty sure. I think they know how to
No,
charge
no,
it.
but it's sorry. It's
They-
cool
they
because
know how the charger
right, but it
works.
doesn't fall out. which is
Okay,
cool.
well, hopefully you're not shaking your charger too much. Otherwise, accessory-wise, I think those are kind of like the must-haves. I do think the macro adapter
Oh, yeah.
is a nice thing to have as well. I think the R adapter, if you have R lenses, of course. If you don't, you should get some. You know, for when we do our R lens episode in 2031.
Yep.
And then to get into the charging topic, I'm going to kick it over to David, who's going to show you his favorite USB-C cables and adapters for your in-camera battery charging. So,
Battery needs.
David, take it away.
Well, let me show what's not good to use. Do you have that handy?
Oh, yes. Well, now, so I guess we'll do a quick,
Let's do this first.
very quick. If you want to know what comes in the box of the EV1, I will give you this 4-second long unboxing because I just happen to have it with me. Get this?
Wow, this is non-ceremonial at all.
No, I've done enough ceremony for the night. Okay.
Wow, I just throw stuff everywhere.
It's like,
Josh is like, be very careful with your boxes.
I'm being,
But also,
I'm somewhat careful. Okay.
like Christmas days.
So you open the box, camera's in the top. You got test certificate here, your paperwork. There is a reason for this. There's like two little pockets inside. One has your neck strap and battery. Neck strap is just like your classic black leather Leica strap. Nothing to write home about. But the reason we're doing this is to get to my single biggest complaint with Leica Camera AG in 2025.
Oh no!
Please
Snap.
let me put this back together while you talk about this.
Here it is. All right, Jose, come to my side so Josh can clean up that mess. Okay, this is what comes in the box that Josh just handed me out of a fresh crack. And if the astute among you in the comments can notice what is wrong with this picture, this is not the correct cable.
Well,
I mean, not correct in terms of what we believe. Okay, this is USB-C, which connects to the camera or to the Leica charger. That is correct. But the other end is USB-A. It's the rectangular, older USB connector that we all know and love, all the way coming from us from the 1990s. Unfortunately, the USB-A connector is a bit limited in terms of its maximum power delivery. And commensurately, the plug adapters that you get with USB-A tend to be lower wattage than USB-C native adapters. So maybe there is some like super fancy USB-A adapter out there that can supply enough power to the camera to charge a dead battery, but it's few and far between. What I would recommend instead is one of these options. These I just got on Amazon last night. These are brand new. These are Anchor cables, both of them. This is a nice braided charge cable. I think this one is 6 feet or 2 meters for the international people out there.
yeah, all right. Yeah.
2 meters, yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 meters or 6 feet. They even come up to 10 feet or 3 meters in length, which is great for travel. They're very, very pliable and flexible because they are that thin braided material. So they will just kind of conform to any little case that you put them in. I use these personally because they are longer, and when I'm traveling, outlets aren't necessarily in a logical spot where you would expect them. So I do use longer cables, both my phone, my laptop, and also for camera charging. These are not, I repeat, not meant for data. This is only for power delivery. If you're trying to offload photos with this, you'll be waiting until next week. This is, I think, USB 2.0. Welcome back, 1990s. So this is extraordinarily slow for data, great for charging. This is a 100-watt cable. This, if you want the best of both, this is by its little, if you see the little lightning bolt there and a 4, these also come with little 5s. This is a certified Thunderbolt cable, also from Anchor. So this will carry very high data rates. You can use this to download images from the camera, and it will also carry 100 watts of power in addition to data. The limitation is they only come up to 1 meter in length or 3 feet. They're very, very short because they need to carry the data, and there's a maximum length to Thunderbolt cables before they're out of spec. Also, they're thicker and not quite as pliable as the charge cable. So pick your poison. I generally travel with both because I use external SSDs or I need to connect the camera for data. So I do carry a couple of these Thunderbolt cables, but I also will carry charge cables with me. That being said, moving on. Nope, still got one more thing to show you. Jump the gun. All right, here we go. For power, you can just use your laptop power supply if you use one like I do, where I don't use the Apple charger that came in the box. I've replaced it with a third-party gallium nitride charger, which are much smaller and more powerful. This one here is also from Anker. This is a 45-watt power adapter to effectively charge the EV1. I'm going to show here. You've got the little power port here. You can plug it in, and you can plug in this side. You want to have at least a 30 or 35 watt power brick. A 45 is going to be great. It's not that much bigger than a 30. It'll also charge your phone, and in a pinch, can also charge your laptop. Actually, if you have a MacBook Air, this probably will charge just fine, or an iPad. So these are great little chargers. They're not expensive. They've got flip-out prongs, and they just work. So I don't know. This is maybe like $20, something like that, on Amazon as well.
Yeah, we wish Leica just gave us this stuff in the box for the M cameras. They don't.
They don't.
I will continue to campaign for us to have them do such things. But
Yes.
for now, you do need to go aftermarket. Show them that. No,
and then
one more thing. One more thing. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
One more thing.
It
All
never
right.
ends.
The other great accessory that I highly recommend traveling with, I mean, whether you shoot with a camera or not, this is the latest generation of Anker battery bank. They have made them a little smaller, and it's got a built-in little rubberized kind of rugged cable, which I think you can loop like this so you can not lose it, a little lanyard. And it does have a USB-C port here. It does have the built-in one. Got flip-out prongs to charge, and this is what's called a 3-in-1. I'm just going to push the button here, and it's got a cool little display. Whoops. Got a cool little display so you can see the power remaining. I think this is a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, which is great. I use this for my phone. I use this for everything, and it is high enough wattage. This outputs 30 watts over this cable, which is awesome. And you can see from the light, it is charging. So this will charge your camera battery. If you are using an older power bank, most of those are 10 watts or 15 watts, maybe 20 watts. The latest generation one, and you have to look for it because they're not, even the latest ones are not all high wattage power charging. This particular one is 30 watts. And the reason they call it a 3-in-1, and one of the coolest things about this for travel, is if you take the prongs and you plug it in the wall, it recharges the battery, obviously. But if you have it plugged into the wall and the battery's full, and you plug it into a device like your camera or your phone, it doesn't deplete the battery. It actually passes through from AC to the cord to DC, and it acts like a wall adapter. So it basically takes the place of one of these. Yes, it's bigger, but you can use just this to charge your device. And then when you're ready to go out shooting for the day, you just take it out of the wall, throw it in your camera bag, and you have charge on the go. This is for me, this is a must-have travel accessory. And I think I bought 3 of these now because they are just awesome, and I want to have them in every bag.
How do you manage to lose so many back caps in such a small space?
There you go.
It's like cleaning, like mopping up after you as you're
So
walking
that is
by,
it.
yeah.
That is the short speed
Yes.
version of everything.
Okay, so now let's do a few questions, and then we should end the show, I think, on your photographs would be a nice way to sign us out. Jose.
You want to do? Are we doing questions, or are we going to show some pictures?
No, I think questions, then we sign off on the photos, I think.
Well, unless people have questions about the photos.
I can assure you they will not. Because they're unquestionably so great.
That's not what you were thinking.
Questions. Jose, go.
Right. What is the current firmware for the EV1?
I will show you.
2.6.0, which you can.
And while you brought it up,
check on the unbelievably awesome computer screen, Jose.
yes, if you look here on Red.Forum, this is Red.Forum. If you go to technical articles, first off, look at this.
So good.
Understanding the M11 lineup. And I actually go through a breakdown of all the facts and features of every single model. Just, and this was a natural segue, right, Josh?
So natural.
Yeah.
Almost too natural.
Almost too natural.
That's
right. And I think there's a comparison table at the very end here. Yes.
Nope.
Nope. Actually, just.
No, it's like by model, yeah.
Right, by model and just all the specs and then kind of a big thing. Also, if you do want to shoot traditional rangefinder, you should check out our rangefinder tips and tricks video.
Right.
Okay. But to get to your question, we have a firmware master list.
Well, if you updated it with the EV1.
And I have the EV1 here.
Good job.
And current firmware is
2.6.0.
2.6.0.
Like I said.
There you go. Right. So you can see here, and if you click, you'll be taken to our article that I wrote on all the features and improvements and links to download for all the different cameras and instructions on how to update if you don't do so through the Photos app.
Very nice.
So that is all there for every single digital camera that Leica has ever made. We have all of the current generation firmware.
Well, any digital camera that has a firmware update is on there. Not every camera they ever made.
It has the current version. Not some of them you can't download. Or I guess you can download.
It's only the ones that
yeah.
have an update, yeah.
You're right, you're right. Okay,
Just for
yes.
clarification.
Accurate.
Anyway, additional questions.
I don't see any right now.
No?
Or
There's
just
been a lot of
hateful
discussion,
comments.
but not like specific answers that we have, questions that we haven't answered already.
Any colorful comments that, would enlighten our day?
I don't know if colorful, but it's a lot of comments.
There's definitely been some colorful comments. Well, I mean, it does appear that
It's controversial.
it is controversial,
Yes.
which I would only really understand if, like I said, we're discontinuing the M11 entirely, all the film cameras, and we're only making the EV1 forever.
Right.
And I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So
I'm actually surprised that there isn't this question. I fully expected a question.
you can ask it.
Josh,
Yes.
why doesn't Leica come out with a hybrid optical EVF
Oh,
viewfinder?
they
am
do.
shocked,
You
by the
just
way.
look. You just take this and you just put this on top. Voila! It is a hybrid. Look at that. Ooh. No, there's no room.
There's no room.
If you
Right.
take the top plate off of an M camera and you actually look at what's under there, there's like
no space.
all kinds of wizardry going on, and there's no room for that. Will the technology get to the point where one day they can have both? I mean, maybe, which would be awesome.
Maybe keep in mind they didn't even have room for the ISO dial.
Yeah, seriously.
With the current viewfinder in there.
Yeah. So one day, maybe.
day.
I mean, I never thought we would get to where we are now with all the tech we have with
Right. For sure.
USB charging and Wi-Fi and electronic shutters and all kinds of-
We're living in the future.
Yeah. If you said, 15 years ago, all this stuff would happen, I'd be like, now a Q? Psh, it's ridiculous. An X camera. Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Now we're
An
talking.
option for everybody now. It's like
I know, right? We are so spoiled for choice. I mean, we say this all the time, but man, we are really, there's quite a breadth to Leica's product portfolio in terms of new lenses, vintage lenses, SL lenses, point and shoot camera. I mean, if you haven't used the DLX8, for example, that camera is amazing. Like, just the shout out the DLX8. We love that thing. I mean, we have a whole episode on it, but man, that thing is a little powerhouse. But I think now would be a good time, since it's the 9:45, if David, you could show us some of your M EV1 photography when you were in Italy. That would be fantastic.
In the old Italy?
So Jose, you want to pull up?
Hold on.
No, we don't. Not yet.
Not yet.
What's happening?
Oh, is that it? Is that where it starts?
That's it. All pictures of cats.
Oh, yeah, all cats.
Italian cats.
Italian cats.
Best cats.
2 hours of Italian cats.
Okay. Actually, I didn't bring the 35 Apo. I'm reminded of this.
what?
But it's okay. I
Oh, I
know
had
what.
it.
How could it be? How could it be? How could it possibly be? I took the 35 Similux,
Let's go.
which is what this is. Okay. So, yeah, they handed out the cameras, and like as soon as we came out of that room, it was all Yeah, it was like the sky opened up. It was torrential downpour. I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere. What was actually a lot of fun was, and this is a little story first, which is we're in the hotel lobby, and Stefan Daniel, again, he's like the person in charge of all product development at Leica, vice president of product. And
We have a new title now, but
or whatever. He has a new or a new photo division, something, whatever. So Stefan whips all these crazy things out of his camera bag. Like he has a 100 Apo Macro R with an L Pro, a matching L Pro.
nice.
And he's like, oh, I just bought this and I'm so excited to use it on the EV1. Like this opens up so many possibilities. And he had actually also, like he personally bought that lens for himself. This tells you a lot about Leica people.
Yeah.
That even, the management at Leica are like giant Leica nerds, which is so fun to see. So the two of us were hanging out because I loaned him. I was the only one who brought like a tabletop tripod. And I also brought a hand grip. So I was like, here, you could use these. And so I was helping him shoot macro pictures of like little bubbles in glasses and whatever. And we were just having a good time, totally nerding out. And of course, it drew a crowd because we're all just a bunch of Leica nerds. Anyway, finally, rain stopped. We went out for the first evening and I guess got to shoot in the most challenging environment that I talked about earlier, which is in that low light. So here we are shooting in low light on the street, and that close focus mode works great on the 35 Summilux, just phenomenal.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, a lot of cheese and truffles and things, it's color that you would expect out of an M11. I don't know why that one's out of order, but that's okay. So even here, backlit subject, a little bit low light. Really, I had no trouble with the EVF in these kind of conditions, and worked great in blue hour, which is one of my favorite times to shoot. And then following day, we went to a really cool winery called Fontnafreda, just outside of Alba, and the light was fantastic. We did not get rain, even though the forecast called for rain all weekend. And we got a tour, and it was fun. Again, low light in these really old cellars from the 19th century. Of course, with modern winemaking techniques. This was our tour guide, who is also a sommelier. And this is shot wide open on the 35-1.4. Again, just using focus aid to focus on the eyelashes. So critical focus, really easy to get. And also being able to see live the effect of the light, see if there's any, flare, reposition her, and kind of what you see is what you get. So just fun to walk around and using it for, zone focus with a wide angle and just capturing, some reportage, focusing in. I think that's probably the 35 as well. And then I went out in the vineyards and I wanted to play around with the macro, which is that 90 macro setup I talked about. These are Nebbiolo grapes, which kind of look like blueberries, even though they are grapes. And it was harvest time. And it just was so much fun. This is a lens I'm not allowed to talk about, but I'm just going to say it starts with the number 1 and ends with the number 8 millimeters.
Oh, I see. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. And it, again, being able to actively preview where my little starburst would be and line up where the frame is fantastic on a live view camera. So being able to have these kind of compositions, typically, you would find yourself, I would find myself shooting with an SL for this kind of environment. But here the M worked beautifully for all this close focus and all that. And then, of course, we had, this one's getting chopped off a little bit. There is more headroom, I promise. And just being able to see the light really nicely and focus accurately. You can see, certainly there's no issues with focusing. I think that's with the 50 APO. And that's last shot with a 90. So we didn't have a huge amount of shooting time because we were spending a lot of time eating and drinking and talking and having a lot of fun. But if you come back to us. Yeah, so overall, I would say it was a really fun experience shooting with all the other photographers. If you haven't already seen their videos, I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's probably easy. Just go to Leica M EV1 review, search, and you can find probably a lot of them because there was about 30 YouTubers there in Italy with the group. And we had some great conversations, great meals, and a lot of fun just walking around, taking pictures.
Yeah, I think it's really important to get hands-on with the EV1 if it's something you're even remotely curious about. Reading a spec sheet or watching this video or some of the other videos David's talking about, it's only going to get you so far. It's so fundamentally different. Imagine the first time you tried a rangefinder. If I had tried to explain that to you versus just putting it in your hands, it's a really big difference. So if you've not been able to try an EV1, especially with near somebody who knows how to use it, who can walk you through it, it's worth it. I mean, we just got our display unit at Leica Store Miami, so you're always welcome to come by and check ours out. Either of us or Jose or Adam or Brandon, whoever's there can kind of take you through how it works. And we can try a million different lenses on it, some cool R lenses. It's a really amazing tool. I'm not going to say it's right for everything, everyone, all the time. Leica has this very diverse product portfolio for a reason, but I will say that I am glad that it exists, that it has been a joy, I think, for both of us to integrate into our Leica portfolio of tools.
Well, I'm excited. We actually have our own demo. You can see this one is no, not that one.
Not that one. That one. I cleaned everything up. Yeah, thank you,
yeah.
Rob, for
Yes.
lending us your camera. That's been used a lot, which is fine.
Yep.
Our demo, which you haven't been able to use yet, and purposely haven't let you touch, because for now, it's pretty pristine. Exactly. Until you take it somewhere and absolutely put it through the ringer.
Gonna take it out back.
You should see. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Well, you saw the SL.
I did, yes. It is awesome. I look forward to spending more time with it, to trying even crazier lenses with it, vintage stuff and all kinds of weird R lenses. I think there's just so much potential. And if you're watching this video later and you have an MEV1, because they have been shipping all around the world, we would love to know what you think about it, how it's fit into your photography, where it sits in your Leica kit if you have a few, because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. And listen, I'm going to say this, like, I can see that it's certainly divisive, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because the existence of the MEV1 doesn't take away anything from the M11P or the M11 or, the M11D, right? The existence of the M11D that has no rear LCD screen doesn't take away from any of the other cameras that do have LCD screens, right? And likewise, a monochrome doesn't take away from a color camera, even though it only shoots black and white. I think we've seen that so much, and we talked about it in the Myths and Legends episode. Leica does things differently. They are willing to create these products that maybe don't have the same kind of overall reach and popularity that the mainstream products do, but they're not afraid to answer that call. Again, this was a direct result of Leica customers asking for a long time, for years, to have an M camera with a built-in electronic viewfinder. And they listened. And now a certain group of people or a certain percentage of Leica fans are, kind of beating Leica up over what they asked for, which is kind of interesting, right?
Well, that's always how it goes.
But it's like, they can't win them all, right? But I think what's so cool is that Leica does listen to the customers. They do offer these products, even if they're not going to be the mainstream product. Because I know Leica doesn't expect that the EV1 will, outsell the M11 or the M11P. And I don't think that's their intention. This isn't a replacement. It's just something to also be in the lineup for people that want that electronic viewfinder experience, that want something lighter, that want a lower barrier to entry if they're new to the system, whatever it is. And I think that's also maybe why we have the naming the way it is. Instead of calling it an M11 dash whatever, to have it in its own little micro category where it's still an M, but it's an EV1. And of course, we can imagine there might be an EV2.
Or Or, you know what's even better than an M EV1?
Oh,
what?
God.
What?
The amazing
M12
new Red Dot Forum Camera Talk enamel pins. I'm just saying, you don't need any Leica gear. You just need this.
Is that all?
Sell
Is that
all
all?
your cameras.
Wow, and that's it.
And buy
Pins.
the pins.
They're real
I'm just
enough.
admiring myself for a moment.
Yes.
Okay. But seriously, yes, I think this is a super exciting time to be a Leica photographer. And we are blessed with a lot of different options. And I would say that I think the future is bright, you know, as they continue to introduce fun new lenses. They just came out with these cool Safari lenses and a new glossy black paint lens. And we've seen a bunch of classic series lenses. I mean, they're having a good time over there.
They
That's
are.
all right.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah. And this is our last show of the year.
Is
By
it?
the way.
I mean,
This is our
oh my
last-
gosh,
our last show of
it
the year.
is December.
It is
Wow.
December. So I hope you've had a good year with us. We had fun. It's been a good time. I mean, there's still 2.5 weeks left of the year, but this is us signing off for 2025.
It's the end of the quartile century or something.
I don't even know. But I'm sure there'll be a lot more fun things to talk about in 2026.
Yes.
It'll be another year of us deferring, not doing an R-Lens episode, and another year where the Photos app will probably change and have to do another Photos app episode.
we did do a Photos app episode. Come on, give us that
We
credit,
did.
right?
You want to sign us off?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good reminder that just wanted to wish you all a happy holidays, happy New Year, and all the best wishes from all of us here.
Except for me, no.
Except for John. I was gonna say it, and then I was like, no. all
Unless
of
you
us.
buy a battery, a green battery for M11, then you get my best wishes. But
You still get our best wishes. So we hope that that you and your family and friends and loved ones have a great end of the year, that it's sweet, and that we look forward to a wonderful new year in 2026. Seeing you all then. We will be back in January with some more exciting Red Dot Forum Camera Talk content. As always, make sure that you are subscribed and you click the notification bell so you know when that happens, because we are not organized enough to tell you when our next episode is.
that changes all the time.
It changes all the time. It's like this very in flow. Also, check out red.forum.com, the website, not just the YouTube, for the latest Leica news, reviews, tech articles, firmware updates, buying guides, etc. We've got it all on there, and that's updated far more often than you see us on videos. We do have some cool new videos coming, though, from Mr. Colin on some exciting things that also might have to come with a trigger warning, but I'll leave it at that. So look for those. Again, if you're subscribed, you'll be notified when we post those. And if you want to see old episodes, we have everything on the channel archived in glorious 4K, almost 100 episodes now, which is insane to think about. But we have everything categorized on playlists, and you can check that all out. And that's all.
it.
Yep. And of course, the best way to support the channel, besides subscribing and liking the video, is if you are considering any Leica gear or accessories or anything like that, please consider supporting us by getting those at Leica Store Miami. It's what pays for Josh's everything.
my consultancy fees
Their
to
consultancy fees and
watches.
Jose's beautiful hair.
Yes, exactly.
and these lights
That's
and
right.
microphones and other
That's right,
things.
that's
So
right.
keeps the lights on. So thank you for your support, your continued support, and your future support. And again, have a great holiday and a happy new year, and we will see you then. Thanks, guys.
Till
Bye,
next time.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.